In this video, I want to cover a topic which could be very useful for some people. And first of all, I would like to clarify that I'm not an expert on this topic. Okay. What we are going to cover here is mainly about narcissistic abuse. When you are dealing with a narcissist, then what happens and the consequence of it and what you can do about it. And I'm not going to cover all aspect of it because then the video might go for 4, 5, 6 hours and that's not the intent. So even if we can get some clarity about what you are actually dealing with, I think that also will be a big help for most people who are in this situation. So that is the purpose of this video. Okay. And this video, whatever I'm going to cover, is what I have learned from these two books, which are immensely helpful. And this first book, Healing from Hidden Abuse, this is by Shannon Thomas, and this is 286 pages. And the second book, Becoming the Narcissist Nightmare, and this is by Shahida Arabi. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. That is 512 pages. So, because this is a massive content, and I have tried to distill it to a very small size where I can try to cover that in a very short period of time. So, anything I say, you shouldn't consider this to be an expert advice. Take it if it is true in your experience. Take it if it feels true in your life, in your situation. Okay, I don't claim to be an expert on this topic, but at the same time, I doubt anyone can be actually an expert on this topic because you don't encounter so many narcissists in a lifetime, right? So let's start. So basically, we are talking about abuse, okay? And the thing about abuse is it is pretty common actually. It is much more common than people talk about, okay? Many relationships are abusive in nature, but we don't declare it. We don't keep telling it to people that, my mother is abusive or my wife is abusive or my husband is abusive or my son is abusive or this person is abusive, right? So we tend to hide it, but many relationships have abuse present in them. Okay. And most people, including ourselves, we become abusive at times. Okay. So abuse is pretty common, and many of us have experienced abuse from people who are fundamentally nice people. And at times we have also treated other people in an abusive manner, which we are not proud of. So that is something which actually becomes a weakness for us, because when you are dealing with a narcissist and you are receiving abuse, at that time, to get this clarity that what you're dealing with is not normal, what you're receiving as a treatment is not normal, that clarity, it can be very helpful. Otherwise, most people receive abuse and they think it is either happening because of them or it is common, and they just have to deal with it. So that is the purpose here, that what is the difference between so-called a normal regular abuse by normal people versus being in an abusive relationship with a narcissist. If we can get that clarity in this video, I think my purpose is served. So let's create a working definition of abuse for our purpose so that we can have a meaningful discussion here. So let's define abuse as when someone is knowingly behaving in ways or treating you in such a way which is hurting you. Then we can call that as a abusive behavior, or it's an abuse, right? Someone is behaving in a way or treating you in a way which is hurting you, and the person knows it. And despite knowing that it is hurting you, that person continues to behave and treat you in that way. So we can define or call that as an abuse. So how a narcissistic abuse is different? That is the purpose of this particular presentation. That is the purpose of this particular video, to see that when you are receiving abuse from a narcissist, or you are in a narcissistic abusive relationship, then how it is different. Okay, and the difference is mainly about the intent, motivation, or purpose of the abuse. Okay, normally normal people can be divided into, based on empathy. So some people have very high level of sensitivity and empathy towards others, and some people have relatively low level of empathy and sensitivity towards others. Okay, so in my limited understanding, most of the relationship which normal people become abusive, they become abusive mainly out of frustration, mainly out of hurt, mainly out of pain. They are actually hurting the other person. Okay, but when it comes to a narcissistic person who is mistreating you, the intent or motivation or purpose is different. It is very systematic, very planned, very decisive actually. Okay, normal people, they become abusive when they are hurt. Okay, when they feel they are not getting their due or whatever reason, right? But when it comes to a narcissistic person, the abuse is systematic. Abuse is a means. It is a means to bring you to a state. Okay, and we'll get into that detail later on. For other people in a regular relationship, regular abusive relationship, the abuse is the end. It is not a means. Okay, abuse is not a systematic abuse. Abuse is more like a abusive behavior out of frustration. But when it comes to a narcissistic abuse, it is very systematic. It is planned in a decisive manner to take you to a particular state. Okay, and we'll describe that subsequently. So how do you identify when you're dealing with a narcissist? Okay, so a narcissist person will have these features or qualities. Okay, so first is high lack of empathy. The absence of empathy is the most prominent feature which we have to notice. And disturbing lack of conscience. So because there is no empathy, the morality, the sense of right and wrong, and the boundary where you can hurt other person, the other person is hurt, that care and concern is completely missing when you're dealing with a narcissist. Okay, and that person, the narcissist, will have a very high sense of entitlement and inflated ego. So entitlement means the relationship will be one-sided. Whatever they want, they think they are entitled and you are supposed to provide them. They have no boundaries. They can keep crossing your boundary. They are very jealous people. Almost pathological jealousy is present, highly competitive, and dangerously manipulative. They are very, very, very manipulative people. and they are chronic liar. झूठ बोलना उनके लिए बहुत नॉर्मल बात है. And they have developed very strong observation skills. Okay, so when a narcissist is interacting with other person, the narcissist has already developed in his life or her life a very strong observation skill towards the other person. So they can easily notice what takes you and what is your weak point, what you like, what you don't like. They are noticing you with lot more keenness compared to what you notice about them. Okay, and you will also find that they have no regard for reciprocity. In the sense, if I help you, a normal person will feel obliged to repay it back, to help me back. If I'm nice to you, you will feel compelled to be nice to me. But when it comes to a person who has no empathy, having no empathy makes them free of this compulsion to reciprocate good behavior. Okay, they have no regard for accountability. You cannot make them accountable for what they are saying or doing. They have no integrity, authenticity. They don't compromise for others. Trust and respect, which we value in ourselves and others, and we want to develop that, they have no value or regard for that. Okay. And how do they function? So they demand constant attention from people, getting mine at all cost. So whatever they want, they will take it. And they will play intense mind games of twisting reality. Okay. So whatever has happened, they would talk to you in a way that it has not happened. Whatever they said, they will say they have not said. Whatever you said, they will say you have not said. And they will try to twist your reality so that you lose confidence on yourself. And then they feed off on conflict. Okay, because they cannot have any authentic connection, the conflict, it doesn't bother them so much. Not only it doesn't bother them, they actually enjoy it. They feed off on conflict. And they have a knack for stirring up drama in the relationship. Okay. But at the same time, they can be very charming, charismatic, and grandiose, and often have a magnetic pull. Okay, so their outward appearance could be very attractive, very charming, very charismatic. Okay, they can actually have a magnetic pull towards them, and they actually have, two face. You can say that. So one false self or false face is the good public image which they make, which they maintain with a wider set of people. So if they are employee, they would create an image where they are very helpful to everyone. Okay, and if they are in a social gathering, they will again project an image where they would be very nice people, very helpful, nice people, accommodative, understanding, and they create an image which is very stellar, you know. So lot of people in your office, in your relatives, or in society, they will have a very high positive opinion about these narcissistic people. Okay. But when it comes to few people with whom they are in a very close, intimate relationship, that is where people get to see their true face, their true motive, their true self. which is very vicious, manipulative, and cruel, right? And they get excitement primarily out of provoking you and seeing you respond in anger, confusion, despair, and frustration. So if you are in a close, intimate relationship with a narcissist, that means you are the targeted victim of the narcissist. Then this is the kind of experience you will have. You will be always in an emotional upheaval. You will always be angry, frustrated, confused, in despair. That would be your experience. And the way narcissist will treat you, I have described that here in bullet points, and I will actually read them here, even though if it is going to take some time because I have a point here. Okay. So when you are dealing with a narcissist, this is what you can actually experience in what you would be receiving from a narcissist. Okay. So anger to intimidate. So they are very angry people. In fact, narcissistic rage is very famous word. Okay. And they don't mind using anger to actually intimidate you. Okay. So this is almost like a physical threat. Then hateful and stinging words are going to be used against you. Mock, shame, and criticizing you would be very common. Harsh jokes will be there. Sarcasm will be there. Cruel insult will be there. Criticizing your every move. Anything you want in life, anything you want to try, they will criticize you. Covert and overt put down. They will put you down. They will insult you. They will shout suddenly in front of people. Okay. Verbal abuse in the name of honesty. They will keep poking your wound in the name of being honest. They will ruin all activity which you enjoy. So if you're going to meet your friend, then they will create a tantrum. Anything you enjoy, they will create a tantrum. They will invalidate your emotions all the time. Anything you feel excited about, they will criticize you. Anyone you like, they will criticize you for liking them. Constantly blaming you for their own misery. So their whole life, they will put blame on you. And you will also experience that they will continually try and test your boundaries to see which one they can trespass. So one day they will take money from you by asking. Next time they will borrow. Third time they will simply take it from you. Something like that. Or initially they will say your mom doesn't love you. The next time they will say your mom is selfish. The third time they will say your mom is, mom is a bitch. Something like that. So every subsequent passing time, the next interaction, the extent to which the abuse will be passed on to you will keep crossing all boundaries until nothing is left. Manufacture situations where your jealousy and insecurity will get provoked. So they will provoke you. They will not only provoke, they will actually create situations where your jealousy and insecurity will get provoked. And when your jealousy and insecurity is provoked, you will behave in a way which is not your normal behavior. And then they will claim that you're crazy and needy. You are the person who is at fault. And they chronically engage in disagreement about trivial, irrelevant things. So remember, they thrive on conflict. So they will engage in verbal communication interaction with you and frustrate you by keep on disagreement. Keep on disagreeing with anything they are asking or saying. So you'll feel like why this person is asking my opinion when they are actually not going to take it. Okay. And they will keep you exhausted, anxious, confused. This would be your experience most of the time. And whenever you try to tell them about which aspect of their behavior is actually hurting you, they become angry. Okay. So even when you try to explain your feelings or your hurt to them, they will never receive it. They will actually become angry. They will put you down on that. You should be ashamed of yourself is a favorite saying for narcissist person. And they actually want to frustrate you. So you simply disagreed with them about their absurd claim that sky is red. So they say sky is red and you say no, sky is blue. And now they will put everything on you that you always do like that, you never agree to that, you always think that you know it all. And then they will bring your entire childhood, family, friend, career, lifestyle choices, everything they'll start attacking. So they simply need a thread in any communication, and then they will pile on all their attack on every aspect of you. Nonsensical conversations from hell is is their forte actually. So they will come near you and they will come and start talking and they will keep switching the subject here and there from no connection whatsoever, and you will feel exhausted and frustrated as to what they are doing, but they are doing it on purpose. You are getting exhausted and they are enjoying it. They will sabotage all important events. If you're going for interview, they will exhaust you. They will criticize you. Any project you're working on, anything which is important for you, they will attack you. They will make you feel miserable. You will never feel that, basically they will attack on anything you want to achieve, anything which makes you happy, anything which makes you feel good about yourself. Okay. And they will begin to pair abusive incident with moments when you are successful. So let's say you got promotion, you want to give a party, and they will create a drama in that party so that your happy moment is actually now getting psychologically linked to abuse. So you will start withdrawing from celebrating anything in your life. Okay. They don't want you to have friends. You will find that systematically they will cut you off from your friends, from your relatives, even from your relatives, and even from your family members also. You will find that you have become a lone person in the world. And they will discard you multiple times, all the while claiming that they love you. And you will keep lowering your threshold every week of what was acceptable until he or she only speaks in disrespectable, insulting, and minimizing ways. What you say will be ignored or criticized, or you will have no voice. And they like to reconstruct past, and in retelling, they will completely change what actually happened. So any incident which you will recall in discussing with them, they will say it didn't happen that way, it happened totally different way. So this is where they are trying to twist your reality. They are trying to get you to the point where you don't even trust yourself to remember and recall what actually happened. Okay? And they will destroy your strength. So if anything which is good in you, anything you're feeling good about yourself, anything you're proud about yourself, which they were praising initially in the beginning before you became a victim of their, now they will start attacking that. So before you were confident and sexy, now you are a cocky and vain person. Before you were intelligent and driven person, and now you are a know-it-all and a smart-ass person. They will create countless contradiction to mess up with your mind. Okay. Deflect your attention off their abuse and keep you off balance. They will keep on manufacturing hostile and aggressive situations, leading you to emotional distress. And they condition you to expect less and less and less every time you interact with them. So the reason I have described all this in detail is this gives the bigger picture, this gives the complete picture. Because if you complain to any of your friend, any of your relative, any other person who has no idea about what a narcissist person is, then if you start comparing and sharing about your experience, one item or two item at a time, they will simply say this is pretty common. Even their counterpart do it like that. Most people do it like that, which might be true. But this is the only experience you have, and your experience is not limited to one or two things which is coming to your mind when you're telling to them. So unless you can explain everything which is happening in its completeness, most people will say what you are going through is actually pretty normal. It is pretty common. And I want to tell you it is not so. For many people, they actually go through these kind of situation, but one or two line item at a time. Not like their whole experience with the person is only this. And the intensity is very high here. So now this is the important point. So the narcissist is treating you this way because not because they are hurt, not because they are in pain, or not because they are in frustration. Okay. First thing is they do it because they like it, they enjoy it, and they know it. They do it knowingly, they know it fully well that it is hurting you. They know it is draining you, exhausting you, and they like it and they do it purposefully and knowingly. And finally, they are actually driving you towards a state where they have complete power and control over your emotion, over your mind, over your psyche and your life, where you almost become paralyzed in your mind to take any decision about your life. So more like roughly you can say that this is the goal they have, and they are trying to use abuse attack of abuse as a means to finally take you to a state where you lose confidence on yourself about doing anything in life, making any choice or decision in life. So you reach to a point where you think twice before speaking. And this self-censorship enables the abuser to put in less work in silencing you because you begin to silence yourself. Now, this is very important, okay? The game is about self-doubting while narcissist is abusing you so that you don't even notice the abuse. And they are master at that. So all the while, you know you are really frustrated. You know you have a very challenging relation. You are going through a very tough time. Okay. But at the same time, your main focus is on yourself as to what you are doing wrong, what is lacking in you, where you are incorrect, where you can actually do better, where you need to change yourself so that the other person will stop treating you this way. Okay. So whole game is the abuse is designed in such a way that you don't see that as abuse clearly. You don't clearly see ki I am getting abused and he is abuser or she is the abuser. Your focus is I need to change. I should do something different. I could have done better. I need to do this differently. If only if I could do this, maybe I wouldn't receive this. So you are getting abused and you are not seeing you are getting abused and you are actually blaming yourself. You are doubting yourself and your focus is where you need to change. Okay. And they are the master at that. So other thing which I would like to tell here is they love bomb you. So in the beginning phase, when a narcissist is approaching the victim, then the narcissist is the best person on earth for you and they love bomb you. Okay. But we being empathetic person, you feel a compulsive urge to reciprocate. And we also expect that it will be reciprocated back. But they don't have any compulsion to reciprocate. So when the cycle turns into devaluation phase, they are free from reciprocation and you are not free from reciprocation, and that can create big problem for you because it doesn't even register to normal people that this person has no empathy, has no compulsion to reciprocate, and accordingly I have to change my expectation. So that makes you pretty vulnerable because you are doing your best to put up the kind, caring, gentle act towards them, and you expect some kindness from them, and instead you can actually receive abuse. So again, the lack of empathy, lack of compulsion to reciprocate any kind of gentle behavior, lack of guilt, at least at conscious level, lack of remorse whatsoever. This is something which you have to notice not only towards you, but towards other person also. And you are receiving this immense tons of abuse, and whenever you try to complain that your this behavior made me felt this way, when you said this, it was not correct, it was bad, you will never feel that you are heard. Okay, so whenever you complain, the way they respond would be one of these categories. Either they will make it very trivial, they will isolate that particular incident and they will argue that it was one off deal, it was not a big deal. Okay, or they will simply put the blame on you that my real friends are not mean to me. That means you are being mean to me. Or they will simply say that I'm not going to argue with you. That means your point is not even valid. Or they will say a good spouse will never act this way. Or they will say you are still focusing on the past. You are complaining about something which happened in the past. Or they will say you won't forgive me for my mistake. Or they'll put the blame that if only you were not sensitive and you were more forgiving, it would have been better. Okay. Or they will simply say that I would expect more from a mature person, mature employee, mature wife, mature husband. Right. So they're telling you are an immature person. Or they will simply tell you that, when you are complaining, they'll say that you are being disrespectful, you are blaming me. So this is like putting the blame on you when you are telling them that their behavior is hurting you. Other tactic could be they will simply deny their action was hurtful. So that means basically your hurt is invalid. Or they will simply lie and argue that they gave an apology, which in fact they never did. They never said sorry. They never apologized. But when you complain, they will say that I did. Okay. Or they will simply change the subject to evade accountability. You are complaining and they will talk about something else. Or they will deliberately misrepresent your thoughts and feelings to the point of absurdity. So whatever hurt you are actually experiencing, they will make a fun of joke about it. Or by pointing out one irrelevant fact or one thing you did wrong and developing a hyper focus about that. So they would be respectful to you maybe 20 times or maybe 2000 times, and you did one or twice such incident and they will put all the blame on you because of that. Or the other thing which you would notice is something which is called crazy making. So they will actually respond in a way where you will feel that you are going mad. So even after you have spent hours explaining their abusive behavior, which has hurted you or which is hurting you, they will simply ask, what do I did to you or what do I do to you? What is your problem? Or how do I make your life harder? So you complained about 2 hours or 4 hours or maybe half an hour, whatever, and they will say, what did I do? Right? So you will feel as if whatever you are saying, the other person is not even listening, is not able to hear. So either you are not able to say it or whatever you are saying, it's not reaching there. Something weird is happening. But the bottom line is you will start losing confidence on yourself. And they will say that did not happen. You imagined it. You are crazy. So you're complaining about something they did and they're saying, it never happened. Or they could put the blame on you in a way showing that you are not good enough. Only if you are better, only if you had some other qualities, they would behave differently. Okay, so they could put the blame, you are not really that outgoing, you don't really talk that much. Or I'm just getting bored. I'm just getting bored means when I'm around you, I'm getting bored. That means you're a boring person. I hope one day my wife is like this. That means you do not meet his criteria for what he is looking for in his wife, or it could be other way around. So if you're dealing with a narcissist woman, that girl or woman would say, I hope one day my husband is like this, and you will feel insecure about that. or need someone who challenges me. I don't know what I want. I just don't want to settle. So basically, the the blame here is you are not attractive enough, you are not smart enough, you are not clever enough, you are not good enough for me, and therefore this is your experience from my side. Or they could simply attack you. You are complaining to them that their behavior is hurting you, and they are saying, okay, so you are perfect. So I am the bad person now. Right? Or they will attack you for your mistake that happened years back. Right? So the point is, whenever you try to complain to them, whenever you try to discuss with them anything which is hurting you, any specific behavior which they did, and they will never bring the discussion where you both are actually discussing that incident. The discussion or your complaint will always be deflected apart from discussing that point. So you will feel frustrated, and after some time you will stop complaining. So this is not everything about what what you need to know, and it certainly doesn't cover many other aspects of abuse when you're dealing with a narcissist. Okay, especially something which is called trauma bond. Okay, which is more like a neurological change which happens in the victim, which creates an addiction for the abuse. You start craving for interacting with the narcissist, even though you know that person is hurting you, even though you know that person will hurt you again, but the neurological change which happens in you, you will feel almost like a addictive compulsion to contact them again. Okay, so I'm not covering that here. If I get time, I'll do it again next time. But the point here is, abuse is pretty common, but when it comes to a narcissistic abuse, there is no comparison with the so-called normal abuse which happens in day-to-day life. And you should also see it clearly that when you're dealing with a narcissist, then first thing which you have to notice is that the person has no empathy whatsoever, and therefore no guilt and no remorse. Okay, if you can notice this very clearly, then you should, in my opinion, it's a big alarm for you, especially if you are a very sensitive person, if you are a person who has high degree of empathy. The first thing which you have to come to the clarity that you are in an abusive relationship, and it is not your mistake. That itself will give you a big relief. Okay, because the focus has to shift from yourself to see what you are actually receiving, what you are going through. Okay, and also it is not normal. This is where you can have a um, big confusion and challenge, because you try to tell it to your friend, you try to tell it to your relative, and they will come with 5 other incidents and 5 other people who are going through the same thing about what you're describing. But that doesn't mean that they are also dealing with a narcissist. Okay, so it is not normal what you're going through. Your hurt is valid for you, and also, if you are truly going through a narcissistic, abusive relationship and you are just coping, you should also know that there is a limit to how much you can handle. You cannot keep on coping because the other person is not going to change. I think that is the important thing you have to realize, that the other person is not going to change if the other person is a narcissist. Okay, and you may need help, but at the same time, rarely you will find people who will be able to understand what you're going through, because it doesn't register to people that there could be people who have no empathy, no guilt, no remorse, and they enjoy putting you in suffering and misery. They enjoy creating emotional havoc inside you, right? So this doesn't register as an expectation in most people. So most of your friends, relatives, when you talk to them, they may not be able to help you. They will not be able to understand. So if you are going to take help, so you need to, even if you go through these books, obviously I would highly recommend you read these two books, and I'm not doing this as a promotion for these two books, and they are not my sponsors, okay? But I would highly recommend, if whatever I have described, if that is your experience, and if you can read books, if you can read English, then read these books. They will put you proper, they will give you the proper framework with which you can actually understand what you're going through. And these two books, they provide lot of forums like YouTube channels or Facebook groups or many other forums, where people who have gone through this, where people who are dealing with this, they come together, they are helping each other, because only those people are able to understand what you're going through, and they can actually, you can actually relate to them, and they can actually help you. So once again, thank you for listening to me and this video. But whatever I said, if it matches with your experience, then I would highly recommend you take help. At least start reading these books, or at least get to a better clarity about your life situation. So I wish you all the best.